Hi everyone, this is HM&S video number 58 and you are most welcome for it. We are still looking at how to use logical functions in Excel, and today in this video we're going to look at how to use the AND logical function. Now in data analysis there is what is called an AND logical test and OR logical test, which I think every data analyst or anyone who uses data must know them. And guess what? Today we are going to look at how to do AND logical tests using Excel. Let's switch on to Excel and we dive deeper into how to use AND logical function. Now in order for us to understand how to use the AND function very well, let's start by seeing its function arguments. So I'm going to click on this cell and do equals to AND. When I see it highlighted in blue, I can either double click to select it or hit tab to select it. Now the AND function has these arguments. It has logical test 1 argument, logical test 2 argument, logical test 3 argument, logical test 4 argument, and it goes on like that. You can do as many logical tests as you want. Now as we learned, anytime you do a logical test, you get either true or false. That means we can get multiple true and falses inside the AND function. Now again, there is something else that we need to understand before we start using the AND function. That is how to do the AND logical test. Now in order for us to understand AND logical test, let's look at these small notes here. Now the AND function does AND logical test by default. Now when we say AND logical test, this is what we mean. An AND logical test is a logical test that requires all the logical tests to come true for it to deliver true to the cell. For example, if you have 3 logical tests that you need to do, for the AND logical test to deliver true to the cell, the first logical test must come true, second logical test also must come true, and the third logical test must come true. So if you have 3 true for all the 3 logical tests, then the AND logical test will deliver for you true to the cell. But if any of the logical tests comes out false, like true, true, and false, or true, false, true, or false, true, true, then the AND logical test will deliver for you false to the cell. So you need all the logical tests to come true for the AND logical test to deliver for you true. This may not make sense to you right now, but when we start doing examples, you will know exactly what we are talking about. So let's scroll down and we see our first example. Now here we have this table. It's showing some university students, and then the test results for those university students, the coursework results for those university students, and then the end of semester results for those university students. Now what we want to do on this example here, we want to come to this column here, and then we identify those students who pass and those students who fail. So for those students who pass, we want to identify them as true, and for those students who fail, we want to identify them as false. Now on top here, we have our criteria table. Now these are the criteria or conditions that you must meet in order for you to pass. The first condition is you must get at least 50 for the test, and then the second condition is you must get at least 60 for the coursework, and the third condition is you must get at least 70 for the end of semester examination. So that means we are going to do 3 different logical tests. So I'm going to click on this cell and we are going to use AND function to help us do that. So I'm going to type equals to AND. When I see it highlighted in blue, I'm going to hit tab to select it. Now the AND function just needs logical test. So it needs logical test 1, then you can give it logical test 2, then you can give it logical test 3, and you go on like that. You can give it as many logical tests as you want. So if all the logical tests comes out true, then the AND function will deliver for you true. But if any of the logical tests comes out false, then the AND function will deliver for you false to the cell. So I'm going to backspace, backspace. Now on the logical test 1 argument, we're going to do the first logical test. So we're going to ask, is the test results, click on the test results, greater than or equals to 50? So I'm going to click on this 50, click. Now since I'm going to copy my formula down, I want all these cells to look at this 50, so I'm going to lock it using the F4 key so that when I copy my formula down, this cell reference doesn't move with my formula. So I'm going to hit F4 to lock it. Now this is our first logical test, so I'm going to type comma to go to second logical test. Now for logical test 2 argument, we are going to ask again, is the coursework result, click, greater than or equals to 60? So I'm going to click on 60, click. Again, I'm going to lock it using the F4 key. Now this is our second logical test. Again, comma to go to the third logical test. So I'm going to ask again, is the results for the end of semester, click, greater than or equals to 70? So I'm going to click on 70, click. Again, I'm going to lock it using the F4 key. Now this is all we need. On logical test 1 argument, we have the first logical test, and it can either be true or false. Then on logical test 2 argument, click, we have the second logical test. It can also be true or false. And then on the logical test 3 argument, click, we have the third logical test, and it can also be either true or false. So when you get true on all the 3 logical tests, the AND function will deliver for us true on the cell. But if any of the logical tests comes out false, then the AND function will deliver for us false. So let's click here, and then I'm going to close my bracket, close. Now when I control enter, and then I copy my formula down, you can see I'm getting either true or false. Now for the first one here, we are getting true. That means for logical test 1, the test results is greater than 50, so that is true. Then for logical test 2, the coursework results is greater than 60. That one is also true. Then the third logical test, which is this one, the end of semester results is greater than 70. So this one is also true. So we got true, true, true. And since all the logical tests are true, the AND function delivered for us true. Now this third one here is saying false. So let's check. The first logical test here came out true. That means the test results is greater than 50. Then the second logical test here came out false. That's because the coursework results is less than 60. And then the third logical test here came out true. That's because the end of semester results is greater than 70. Now because we got one false, the AND function delivered for us false to the cell. So that's how the AND function works. What if you want to put there the word pass for those who pass, and then retake for those who fail? You can use both the if function that we learned about last video and the AND function that we learned about this video in order for you to accomplish that. So let's see how we can do that. I'm going to click on this cell and do equals to. We're going to start with if. So I'm going to type there if. When I see it highlighted in blue, I'm going to hit tab to select it. Now as we learned last video, the if function needs a logical test that will come either true or false, and then you give it a value to deliver if the logical test comes out true, and then also the value to deliver if the logical test comes out false. Now since we have 3 logical tests that we need to do, we cannot simply do it here because the logical test argument here needs only one logical test. So in order for us to do more than one logical test that will sit on the logical test argument of the if function, we need to use the AND function inside the if function. So on the logical test argument, I'm going to type AND. When I see it highlighted in blue, I'm going to hit tab to select it. Now for logical test 1 argument, we're going to do it the same way we have done it here. So the first logical test is going to be, is the test results, click, greater than or equals to 50. Then I'm going to click on this 50. I'm going to lock it using the F4 key. So F4, comma, to go to logical test 2 argument of the AND function. We shall do the second logical test. So I'm going to ask, is the coursework results, click, greater than or equals to 60. I'm going to click on this 60. Again, I'm going to lock it using the F4 key. Now, comma, to go to the third logical test or logical test 3 argument. We shall do the third logical test or the third condition. So we shall ask, is the end of semester results, click, greater than or equals to 70. Click on 70. I'm going to lock it using the F4 key. Now I'm going to close my bracket on the AND function. Now the entire AND function here is sitting on the logical test argument of the if function. Now this AND function will deliver for us either true or false, just like we have seen it here. and that true or false will be used by the if function to deliver for us what we are going to put on value if true or value if false. So I'm going to click at the end and then comma to go to the value if true argument. Now for the value if true argument, we want pass. So anytime you are typing a text in a formula, you need to type it in double quotes. So open quotation, passed, and then close quotation. So that's the value if true. Now comma to go to the value if false. Now for the value if false, we want retake. So open quotation, then type retake, and then close quotation. Now I'm going to close my bracket on the if function. When I control enter, and then I double click to copy my formula down, you can see we are getting passed and retake. So anytime we are seeing true here, double click, that means this AND function also delivered for us true. And anytime we are seeing false, that means this AND function also delivered for us false. So escape. So we are getting passed for true and then retake for false. Yeah, that is it for this particular video here. If you haven't subscribed, please do subscribe. And if you found this video interesting, give it a like and then you share it with your friends. This is a playlist that's having all the videos about logical functions that we have talked about. You can click on it, then you go and watch them. Until next video, HM&S, video number 59, then we meet again. Thank you.